Hello everybody and welcome back to the MMO project where we continue to be a little bit bogged down in this map generation, and as you can see I have delayed tile rotation and by extension everything else, because this episode we are going to be working on additional tiles and better detection. More specifically, if we go into our tile enum here, into our line direction, we only have straight corner inside and corner outside right now. We need to implement islands, peninsulas, and also corridors. So let me just go ahead and add in corridor there. That is definitely something that we are going to need to implement. And I've actually already off camera modeled these tiles in Blender, and I'll just show you quickly here. So here we have our peninsulas, and there's probably going to be a second type of peninsula that we're going to need. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So here's peninsulas here in the cliff variant. Here's islands in the cliff variant, and corridors in the cliff variant. And then I also did the same thing with the shore variants, although, is this incorrect? No, that's actually correct. And I made these the same way, and again, we're probably going to have an issue with the peninsulas, and we're going to need another type of peninsula, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. So, those were made the same way, and I just didn't want to be clogging up our limited time here with this, because we've got a lot of work to do on this. So, let's just... I don't care about the server. Let's hop into the client here. This is actually the only change that we're going to be making today to tile, so we can close that. In the tile set, however, we're going to be adding quite a few new lists. So we're going to do a public list tile, and this is going to be the cliff corridor tiles, equals, of course, a new list of type tile. We're also going to do a public list tile. This is going to be cliff island tiles, equals a new list of type tile. And public list tile, this is going to be cliff, this will be peninsula tiles, equals a new list of type tile. And then we'll do shore tiles as well here. This is going to be public list tile. This is going to be the same things, although I need angle brackets. There we go. Tile. This is going to be shore corridor tiles, equals new list of type tile. Public list tile. This is going to be the shore peninsula tiles, equals new list of type tile. And then the public list of type tile, that'll be the shore island tiles, equals new list of type tile. Okay, now full disclosure, I haven't fully tested this. In fact, I haven't tested this at all because I didn't want to duplicate the effort of making all of the tile prefabs in the other project. So I don't know how well this is going to work. I 100% guarantee you that the systems that we're creating here are going to have problems, but we will get those fixed, and we will make sure that that is going to work properly. So in map.cs now, actually, let's hold off on doing anything in map.cs. We're going to be overhauling this pretty dramatically, but for right now, let's just hop into Unity and go ahead and create our new tile set objects. So we'll just go ahead and unpack that prefab. Excellent. And any of these that we have already created... Oh, we have a normal issue over here. I thought I had checked that. I guess I checked it for everything else, but not for these. Okay. Well, we'll just select all of them, and then we will do a face select mode, and we will select by the material, which I can never remember which of these in 2.8 is the material. Of course, it's this one. We'll select all of the water here, and then we'll just F3 and flip normals. Bam. Okay. There we go. We'll save that. We'll close it. Unity will re-import it. There we go. And now this is looking a wee bit more correct, although we're kind of upside down. There we go. Let's just get focused in here so that we can actually work a little bit easier. Now, we're not going to need these tiles. We're not going to need any of these tiles over here, like that. So we can just go ahead and delete those, and those as well. Excellent. We are not going to need these either. Okay. And the login screen is kind of in our way of seeing here, but that's okay. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go into our Cliffs prefab here, prefab folder, and we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be corridor. Excellent. And we'll grab these three here, and we'll just move them out here so we know which three we're working with. We'll add our mesh collider, we will add our input object, we will add our tile object, and then we will also make sure to set that to cliff. Wonderful. And we'll call this, of course, tile cliff corridor 01. And then we'll add this one and call that tile cliff corridor 02. And then we'll add this one and we'll call that tile cliff corridor 03. Excellent. Next, we'll do the same with the islands. Just move those up over there. Oh, this Crusader Kings music is reminding me. Crusader Kings 3 comes out tomorrow. I'm kind of excited about that. Anyway, we're going to add the tile, and we're going to turn on the cliff and the mesh collider, and we will also put in the input object. There we go. We'll go over here, and we'll create a new folder, and we'll call this island. Then we'll bring this in, and we'll call this tile cliff island 01. Then we'll do this and tile cliff island 02. And tile cliff island 03. Excellent. We'll get rid of those. And we'll grab the peninsulas next. We'll add in the input object as well as the mesh collider and the tile object. There we go. And we'll set that to cliff. Wonderful. And then we'll go into our cliffs here and we will set this into a new folder and we'll call this peninsula. Sula. Nope, Sual, apparently. Wonderful. Peninsula. There we go. Make this into a prefab. Tile, cliff, peninsula, 01. Now this one, tile, cliff, peninsula, 02. And this one, tile, cliff, peninsula. There we go. 03. Wonderful. Get rid of those. And now we need to do the same thing for the shores. In fact, let's just select all of these, and we'll add in the tile, and we'll set that to type water. We'll add in the mesh collider. We'll add in the input object. Excellent. Get that out of the way. We'll go into our water section here, or our shores section here, and we'll create a new folder. We'll call this corridor, and then we'll do a folder, and we'll call this peninsula. And then we'll create another folder, and we'll call this island. Wonderful. Inside of corridor, we'll take these three. There we go. And we'll bring them in. Tile, shore, corridor, 01. Tile, shore, corridor, 02. And finally, tile, shore, corridor, 03. Excellent. We'll get rid of those. And then we will hop into peninsula. We'll grab these three, split them out. We'll call this tile, shore, peninsula, 01. Tile, shore, peninsula, with an underscore. Where is the underscore? There we go. 02. And then tile, shore, peninsula, with an underscore, 03. There we go. And we'll get rid of those. Then we'll go into island, and we'll bring in these. This will be the tile, shore, island, 01. This will be the tile, shore, island, 02. And this will be the tile, shore, island, there we go, 03. Wonderful. We'll get rid of all of that. And then we'll hop into our basic tile set object here. Lock that open so that we can put this in nice and easily. And we'll do our 3 lists here. So we'll go to island. This is cliff island, so that would get placed right here. This is cliff corridor, so that would get placed right here. And then cliff peninsula, which would get placed right here. Excellent. Now we'll do shore corridors, which is these right here. And then shore peninsulas. Right there. And finally, shore islands. Okay. So there's all of our new tiles set up. Wonderful. Now let's get our map function actually utilizing this, shall we? Let's go ahead and put in a new variable right here. This will be the private vector3 tile rotation. I'm going to be doing the tile rotation a little different than I thought I would be doing it. So, we're going to just scroll down to our generate map function right here, and instead of doing it with this get tile rotation method, we are simply going to do quaternion.euler tile rotation. Excellent. And we're going to get rid of our get tile rotation method entirely. We're going to be doing that slightly differently. Now, most of our changes are going to be happening in get tile, but I'm also going to get rid of this adjustment for right now. It may be necessary. We'll put it back in if it is. That's going to be something that I'll be testing and feeling out to see how that needs to be set up. We'll leave the adjustment in here, but for right now, we're going to not adjust anything at all. Okay, so let's go down to our get tile method here. So we need to change how we're doing this quite a bit. Most of the time, we don't need to know our diagonal tiles, so let's actually get rid of this entire segment here, and instead of doing our, well, we're still going to have a numDiff. So we're going to declare an int numDiff here, but before we do that, we're going to say, if it's off the map, we'll assume it's the same height as us. We only care about the cardinal directions at this point. We may care about the others later, but we'll handle that when we get there. Excellent. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to figure out what our heights in each direction are. And I'm going to be using the question mark operator here. I forget what the actual name is. It's essentially just a fancy truncated way to write an if-then statement. So we're going to do if int west height is equal to, and then in parentheses, x is greater than 0, question mark, map heights, x minus 1, y, colon, map heights, x, y. So all this does is it evaluates if x is greater than 0. If x is greater than 0, then the value is map heights x minus 1, y. Otherwise, the value is map heights x, y. We're going to do the same thing for the other directions. Int east height equals, this is going to be x is less than map size x minus 1. If that causes us issues, we can address that later. And then we are, of course, going to be evaluating that, and if it's true, we're going to say map heights x plus 1, y is our value. Otherwise, map heights x, y is our value. So we grab our same height if it's off the map. Then we'll do int north height equals, this is going to be y is less than map size y minus 1. And then if it is, we will say map heights x, y plus 1. Otherwise, of course, map heights x, y. Wonderful. And then we'll grab our south height, int south height equals, and this is, of course, y is greater than 0. And if that's true, then map heights of x, y minus 1. And if false, map heights x, y. I did not mean to search for semicolon there. Okay. So that gets us our heights, and now we're going to use this numDiff slightly differently. So our numDiff is equivalent at first to west height equals region.height, and I'm just using this because I didn't feel like typing out map heights xy. That'll be the same thing. And then if that's the case, then we are going to go ahead and say 1, otherwise 0. Excellent. Now I'm going to go ahead and just copy this because we're going to use this several more times. numDiff plus equals that, and then I'm actually going to copy this entire line at this point 2 more times. And this is going to be east height, this is going to be north height, and that's not how you spell north. There we go. And this is going to be south height. Okay, so essentially all this does is it determines how many of these are different from our current height. So if our numDiff is greater than 0 at this point, and in fact I'm going to go with is not equal to 0, it'll do basically the same thing in this situation, then we're going to do all of this, and this is not quite going to be functional, but we're going to come down here first, because we don't necessarily know if the numDiff is equal to 0 that this is flat. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say else, and we're going to have to do a couple more things here. If all directions are the same, this is either an inside corner or flat. We'll need to check diagonal corners in this case. Okay, so sadly we can't really do the same thing here that we just did up above. It's just not going to work. So we're going to need to do int any height, nw height, se height, and sw height. Excellent. We'll also declare an int numDiff diag, which is going to be basically exactly the same as this. So we'll just say that this is equal to this for right now, and this will be any height. Excellent. And then we'll just copy that a couple times, get rid of the int, put in a plus here, and instead of this being any height, this will be se height, as well as nw height, and sw height. Okay, now these aren't assigned, obviously, and we'll go ahead and assign that right now. So if x is greater than 0, and y is greater than 0, then our sw height is equivalent to map heights, that is x minus 1 and y minus 1. That is our southwest direction. Else, we're going to say sw height equals region.height. Okay, so that's 1 done. If y is less than map size y, then this will need to be minus 1, and x is greater than 0, then our northwest height is equivalent to map heights, and this will be x minus 1 still because we're going west, but y plus 1 because we're going north. Excellent. Else our nw height is equivalent to region.height. Okay. So there's 2 done. What is this having a problem with? Oh, this is the wrong operand. What am I doing? I typoed that. Okay. So, if our x is less than map size x minus 1, and our y is also less than, nope, not greater than, less than, map size y minus 1, then we know that our northeast height is equivalent to map heights x plus 1, y plus 1. However, if that's not the case, our northeast height should be equivalent to region.height. Excellent. Next, we can say if x is less than map size x minus 1, and y is greater than 0, then we know that our southeast height is equivalent to map heights, and this will be x plus 1, y minus 1. Otherwise, our southeast height is, of course, equal to region.height. Okay. So now our numDiff_diag is functional. So we can say if all diagonal tiles are the same, this is a flat tile. That's our default state, though. So we don't have to continue. Otherwise, this is an inside corner. So we can say if our numDiff_diag is not equal to 4, this is an area where we might run into some issues later on. If our region.flooded is true, then tile equals tileset dot shore corner inside tiles dot get random item tile using the random generator random. Otherwise, if I can type, which evidently I can't. There we go. You gonna catch up, Visual Studio? Yeah, it looks like that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to say tile is equal to tileset dot, this will be cliff corner inside tiles dot get random item tile with the random number generator random. Okay, so that is in the case that none of our cardinal directions are here are different. So there's that done, and now it's much easier to deal with if one of them are different. So now we can very easily say tile rotation here equals a new vector 3, and this is just going to be 270, 0, 0. Excellent. And the Crusader King's music is nice, but also maybe a tad loud. Let me turn that down. There we go. We're just going to get rid of this entire section here. And we're going to completely redo this. If our numDiff is equivalent to 1, well, actually, before we do that, we should figure out how many tiles are different. Okay, so if our number of different tiles is equivalent to 1, then we know for a fact if one direction is different, this is a straight tile. So direction equals line direction, nope, lowercase d, equals line direction dot straight. Excellent. Now direction doesn't exist. So let's go up here and we're going to declare this up here as private line direction direction. I don't know if we're going to use this too much. We may not need that, but realistically, I guess it's better than passing in the, or rather than creating a new one every time we do get tile. Maybe we should do that with these two, but we can cross that bridge when we get there for optimization. Okay, so if our numDiff equals 1, our direction equals line direction dot straight. Excellent. Else if numDiff equals 2, there are two options here. If west height equals east height and north height equals south height, in this case, if two directions are different and they're on the same axis, this is a corridor. So essentially, if our north and south are the same and our east and west are the same, actually, instead of different, this should be the same, and they're on the same axis, then this is a corridor. So direction equals line direction dot corridor. Excellent. Otherwise, if two directions are the same and they're on different axes, this is an outside corner. So direction equals line direction dot corner outside. Excellent. Next, we should say else if numdiff equals 3. If 3 directions are different, this is a peninsula. Okay, direction equals line direction dot peninsula. Else, if all directions are different, this is an island. So direction equals line direction dot island. And again, there's probably some issues here that we're going to need to sort out. So we'll have to do that. For right now, we're going to come down into this region here. Why? Oh, I put 2 equals. There we go. Okay, so why do we have 56 issues right now? Modifier private is not valid for this term. I think I messed up a bracket somewhere, a curly brace specifically. My theory is I missed one here. Yep, that was the problem. Fantastic. Okay, so we need to actually be handling all of these extra directions, right? So else if direction equals line direction, this one should be corner outside. There we go. And then we'll do else if direction equals line direction dot corridor. And then we'll need another one. Why did it go to that side of the line? Okay, whatever. Else if direction equals line direction dot peninsula. Excellent. And then we'll also need else if... Actually, this one can just be an else, realistically. At this point, there's nothing left. We know it's an island. So let's just go ahead and copy all of this down here. And let's also go ahead and say if direction equals line direction dot corner outside. Excellent. And these should probably have a space here, because that's how it likes to auto-format that. Wonderful. And then I'm just going to copy this. Actually, I'm not going to copy the line break there, but we're just going to paste this in to each of these locations. And of course, these are wrong right now, because this should be shore island tiles. And in fact, this should be cliff island tiles. Cliff island tiles. This one should be cliff peninsula tiles. And this one should be cliff corridor tiles. Excellent. This one, of course, should be shore corridor tiles. This one should be shore peninsula tiles. And this one should be shore island tiles. Okay. Now, of course, we've still got some time left in this episode, despite the fact that we're basically at the point now where I got to in the preparation, and that is just because I didn't do any testing here. And so we've got a little bit of built-in time to see just how broken this is, and I suspect the answer is quite. Of course, the rotations are still not going to be correct, right? We know that for a fact. Well, some of them will be. Our server didn't fire up. Oh. Because I fired up the attach to Unity. That'll teach me to not read the button I'm pressing. Actually, it won't. I will still do that in the future. Okay, so let's get logged in and see just how broken this is. My guess is quite. Well, maybe the encryption handshake will never go through. Oh, it did! Wonderful. Okay, let's get logged in. And you can see, oh my, yes, yes indeed, that is quite broken. Okay, so the first problem that I'm noticing is that these islands should be flat, most of them. There might be the occasional island here or there, I suppose, but most of these should in fact be flat. So why is this giving us islands instead of flats? Let's investigate this, shall we? We're going to hop down over here, And it gives us islands when our numDiff is not equal to 0. You know what? This needs to be 4. Because this returns 1 when it's true. So if it's 4, then it's flat. So really, this should be num same. You know what? Let's just have this still be 0, and we'll have this output 0 if true, and 1 if false. Because that way we don't have to rename it and see if everything still makes sense. Okay, so that should be progress. And let's try this again here. That should get rid of our islands being everywhere, because the islands are the default fallback, right? And it should have been flat, but that error was making it so that it was going to the default fallback rather than going to the flat area. So let's get logged in. Okay, and we can instantly see we have our flats correct, although this is interesting. We're apparently missing some tiles over here. And I'm not sure where they are. Are they just... Okay, let's pause this quickly. And we're going to head over here. They're just rotated wrong. You know what? I know why that is. I'm not going to stop this for right now, and I'm not going to save this. But the reason that this is happening is because we only do our tile rotation here. I'm just going to cut that, and we're going to move that up. And we're going to do our tile rotation, our initial tile rotation, right there. Okay, so that was why that was causing an issue. But we're just going to ignore that for right now, which we've already fixed, and we will move on for the moment. We can see that these are now correct, but that there are many islands out here that probably shouldn't... I don't know. This maybe could be an island. Some of these probably shouldn't be. Some of these should definitely be straight. So the reason we are having this happen, that this is outputting an island, is because for the straight, I assumed that the height here, here, and here would all be the same, and then the height here would be one below. Whereas here it's clearly terraced, so we have 2 same on the side, and then here... Okay, so let's stop that for right now. Let's pop back in here. Okay, so numDiff is equal to 2 here, I believe. Actually, all directions we're outputting is different there. If it was returning... Rather, numDiff would be not equal to 3. It wouldn't be equal to 1, 2, or 3. Or 0. Hang on, what could that possibly be equal to? That's strange. Very, very intriguing. Let's see. So, our numDiff can be equal to 0 or 1 here. And let's assume that it's equal to 1. Because if it's equal to 0 the whole way, it stays at 0. So this would be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not equal to 0, it's not equal to 1, it's not equal to 2, it's not equal to 3, so it must be equal to 4 when it's returning this island here. However, in that case, it should have returned numDiff is equal to 2. Right? You know what? Let's fire it up one more time. And let's think this through a little bit. I mean, I'm probably not going to solve all these problems right now. Realistically, I'm probably going to put a cut in and we will solve those issues and get the rotations done in one fell swoop next episode. But, I mean, I knew that this would have issues. There was no testing done, and the amount of thinking I put into it was relatively moderate, so there were definitely always going to be issues with this, and I said that from the outset. But situations like this should definitely be outputting a straight. So, okay, these here they're definitely facing the wrong way, right? So we can just bump those around 180 degrees like that, and we'll say, okay, that's how they're supposed to be, and we'll figure out how to get them set up that way a little bit later on. But these right here, these should definitely be outputting straights. And this here, we could also rotate that 180 degrees, or actually... negative 90 degrees? It's kind of needing to be that. Although this needs to be a corner... This is a corner inside, not a corner outside. Okay, so that's incorrect. I'm not surprised that we're having this. Okay, so these are actually kind of inverted. This one should go over here in position 3. And then this one should go here in position 6. And we'll just rotate that 180 degrees. Yeah, that's definitely how it's supposed to go. So our corner inside and corner outside are inverted. That's fine. We can fix that very easily. So we will then have this be corner inside. I was clearly just thinking about it backwards. Inside corner. And then out here, this would be a corner outside. Otherwise, this is an outside corner. Okay, so let's fire up Unity again, and we'll see if that fixed it. I typoed this, outside tiles. There we go. We'll let that compile. I'm still not sure what's going on with the islands where it should be straight. I need to really think about the logic behind that, and that's difficult to do realistically on camera. So we'll just probably fix that particular issue off camera, and I'll show you the fix next episode. But we'll just await this handshake here. Hopefully this doesn't take too much longer. Server's right here. It's not that hard to connect to. It's literally right here. Again, those delays are supposed to be fixed via compilation, so... Okay, so here we can see this is the correct corners, for sure. If we were to rotate these, we'll need to rotate this one 180 degrees, and we'll need to rotate this one, I think 270 degrees. We can see that is definitely the correct corners. And then we'll rotate these ones 180 degrees as well, like that. And then this would over here get rotated 180 degrees. You can see that that's all pretty much correct. This one would also get rotated 180 degrees, as would this one. 108, oops, that was the wrong axis. 180 degrees. Actually, that would be 90. Negative 90? Yeah. Okay, and then this one is already correct, I think. This one would be something like negative 90. And then this one would be negative 90. So you can see, once we get those rotated correctly, they look quite good. And of course, we don't have the materials set up either. That is a job for another time. This would then be negative 90 degrees, as would this one. Negative 90. And this one would also be negative 90. So once we get the rotations done, you can see this is choosing the correct tiles on this level. It should be doing the same thing up on this level. I'm just wondering why. So we've got a situation here where we have these two are the same height. These two are the same height. So this should have output that there are 4 different. Except... okay, I think I understand what's going on here. These are all different heights from this one, because this is jumping up a level up over here. So, the problem lies in the check in here, in the numDiff check, here. So, realistically, the core issue here is that all of them are different. But it output an island. So all of them are different, so our numDiff is 4. Right. Yeah, that's the core issue, and how do I want to go about fixing that? Well, that's a complicated question, actually. The core problem is that I made the assumption that they would be equivalent. Hang on, there should have been some equivalency there, right? I gotta double check this. This is why I don't usually do this on camera. We fixed some of the issues, though. But I'm not in the slightest surprised that there are a million issues with this. And figuring out the rotation, that'll actually be pretty easy. I just need to sit down and think about how I want to handle it, but we have all the information we need already for that. Okay, so let's head in here. Okay, so situations like this. These two are the same height. These two are different heights. So it should return the numDiff is 2, and in that case, numDiff equals 2, it should output either a corridor or a corner inside, which isn't necessarily correct. This should be straight here. But this clearly isn't outputting numDiff equals 2. That's the thing there. This is a very long, skinny map. That can happen, though. So this is definitely not outputting numDiff equals 2. And the question is why? These two should be the same. These two should be different. So here, in this situation, this is north-south the same, and then east-west are different. It's working fine on the lower level, but not fine on the higher level. Is it because we're using region.height here? Is it as simple as that? That shouldn't make a difference. But I guess we will just replace this here with copy and paste so that I can still be nice and lazy. Surely that's not it. That would baffle me if that caused any difference. Okay. So that did recompile. And we're going to try this one more time. I'm assuming this is not going to work. And when this doesn't work, I'm probably just going to stop trying for right now, and we'll fix this going into next episode. Okay. So that fixed it. These are returning inside corners, of course. We've still got the issue that I highlighted a moment ago, where it should be outputting these, which would in fact be incorrect. And that is because it is assuming that it is flat, which it is not. So we can fix this, and that is definitely something that we will do in the next episode. And these are actually kind of correct. Okay, so that is definitely some progress. You can see here we've got our peninsula over here, although I'm not sure exactly how correct that is, but we'll be evaluating each of these assumptions in the next episode, and we're probably going to change most of them. We're also going to be putting in our rotations. So, I don't like putting in a cut here because it feels too broken to stop the episode, but again, I just didn't get the testing done, and it's already quite late. Like, it's already 5 o'clock, so it is what it is. So, our additional tiles and our better detection has been finished, so I will just go ahead and put that under last, I guess, because this is useful for me for the thumbnail and video title creation. So I'll put that there, and then this next episode is going to be fixing the choosing assumptions and tile rotation. We should be able to get both of those done this next episode. And then after that will be tile, water, and ramps. And with that, I'm going to put a cut in here. I'm going to take a break and come back to this fresh tomorrow and look at it with fresh eyes, and we will definitely get this fixed. Because I know for a fact that I made assumptions here that I should not, and we will address those next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.